Hi friends, in today's video, I wanted to show you my workspace setup. Working from the road isn't always the most convenient thing to do, but I'm going to show you my setup and the things that I use to make working from my van convenient. This layout is designed for digital nomads, remote workers, or anyone who is just trying to build out a creative space. It is kind of amazing for working from anywhere, mountaintops, the ocean, all while working a 9-to-5 remote job. So hopefully it might inspire you to build something similar. Okay, so my setup actually pulls out like this. In here, I have a monitor on a swivel arm, and it just basically pulls up and out, and it can go up or down. Then I have a desk that pulls out from here. So this is a drawer. The desk slides out and unfolds. And I will bring you a little bit closer so you can take a look at how I set everything up and plug in my computer. What I've done here is I've plugged in this DC converter to take the output from the monitor, and then it plugs into this built-in system that I have back here. You can see right behind my closet area, I have these two DC ports. This adapter will plug directly into that and help power the monitor. And what I do to connect my computer to it is I get a HDMI cord, and then I have this adapter because my computer is a MacBook. So this will plug into, it's a USB-C port, and that'll just plug into the side of my MacBook. And then it also has a port for the HDMI cord that will connect my MacBook to the monitor. And so then I'll have the two screens set up and be able to work like that. Just sitting right there is where I typically like to sit. I have my computer, I have my monitor. So some things to know about how I get internet. I use this Netgear wireless router, and I have talked about it before, but basically I just buy a SIM card for a different service provider. I have T-Mobile on my phone, so I went with AT&T because it has really good coverage. And so I'll pay $90 for 100 gigabytes of data, and I will connect to this as I would a Wi-Fi signal anywhere else. Another tip that I use to get internet is parking really close to locations that have free Wi-Fi. So I've found that parking really close to Starbucks, Home Depots, and sometimes Whole Foods. So if you see vans parked there, they've likely also picked up on that and are parked there for their Wi-Fi or their really good food. Yeah, that's the basic setup, and as you can tell, it's really comfortable for me. I can sit here and get work done for a few hours and leave the door open. I also like to watch movies. The arm on it is adaptable. If I turn it, I can also watch from my bed, and I've done that a few times. It's pretty comfortable. And you might also be wondering how it's all powered. So I have a 270 watt solar panel on the top of my roof, and that charges the 400 amp hour lithium ion batteries. That is enough to power this monitor. That's enough to power my refrigerator still, and it's never been a problem where it feels like this monitor or charging my devices takes up too much space. It's a pretty comfortable setup for someone who is going to be spending time on a computer. It felt really nice to have a second screen monitor because it's nice having a layout where I can see multiple things. I'm able to get most things done from my laptop, but definitely a nice luxury to have. You can use the extra monitor for more than just work. I watch movies on it, or sometimes I'll play music on it. It's just nice having an extra screen for whatever you need sometimes. Ergonomically, I sit here, my wrists fall onto it pretty perfectly, and my legs, sometimes I have my climbing crash pad underneath, so my knees are a little bit more elevated, or my feet on the ground, it's just fine. The swivel arm is also great because if I'm just working from my computer, I can put the desk away and I put the laptop on my counter space and then adjust the monitor so that it's higher and I can have a standing desk situation. So, lighting and managing my environment when I am working, that is one of the biggest struggles if I do have my door open. A lot of the times when I am working from my van, I don't have my door open. I just kind of close myself in here like I would in office, and I'll maybe crack my door a little bit. But I will say if my van door is open and light is getting on both of those screens, it's a little bit hard to see. So I personally like to keep my door closed. If I want to keep it open, I just rotate the screens and lean back into this seating area, and that works out really well too. But it's just preference. So yeah. And then thinking about the noise, my van is insulated and mostly soundproof, but on the road there are sirens, ambulances, and maybe kids if you're near a park or somewhere more residential. And I wouldn't say it's like anything more than you would hear if you were in a house. So I think noise-wise, it's pretty okay. A lot of the times when I take my work meetings, do use my AirPods, and those are noise canceling, so that also helps, but I don't find that I need them. I have enough privacy when I take calls. I think this is a really good way to manage a working space. Everything folds back in, so I still have use of the main living space. The desk folds in. My laptop will usually just live in my backpack or stored in my van, and the monitor also folds back into the closet. Most of the cables live in a box that I have for electronic cables, and it's pretty simple to pull in and pull out without having to do a lot of work. So pretty convenient. And it is a tiny working space. I'm gonna be honest and tell you about some of the challenges that I've had. One of the first challenges and things to be mindful of is separating your living space from your working space. Sometimes if I'm in here for too long, it gets really hard for me to want to be in here any longer. So a lot of the times I will work in here for a few hours, find a coffee shop, or go to the park and take my router and maybe work outside. And if you're a person who works from home, you might already know this. I definitely do like to switch it up. I wouldn't say that I work here every day all the time, but I definitely make good use of my working space. And I have had moments where I do struggle with finding signal and Wi-Fi. Like I said, I went with AT&T because they have a really great coverage map. However, there have been moments where I do want to go and park somewhere really remote, and maybe I have like 1 or 2 bars of signal, so it's a bit slower. And then it's just about managing my time and figuring out my work schedule. Some other good alternatives that if I go through all of my data and I don't have any more and I don't want to spend the money or don't have the money to spend for more data for the month, I will park in places like Starbucks, McDonald's, Home Depot, or Whole Foods because they have strong signals that I can typically reach from my van and get work done from there. Yeah, and weather-wise, I will say in the summer months, my van gets hot. It's insulated, but it's also a tin can, right? Like it's a metal can, insulated, so it does get hot, and when that happens, I will take my router and I will go find somewhere else to work. Some final thoughts. I really love this setup, and I'm very grateful to have the capacity to work from my van. The ability to work remotely is a blessing. I know most of the time people think that if you live in a van, you're just kind of homeless and floating about, but no, I have bills to pay and things to pay for too, so I try to get things figured out, and this has been able to help me live remotely and work from my van for the last 3 years plus. So yeah, let me know if you are thinking about building out a van or maybe have a workspace setup that is a little bit different. I'd be curious to see it, and I will now show you putting it away so that you can see how easy it is. All right, friends, so I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you have any recommendations on how I can improve the workspace, let me know in the comments. There's so much knowledge for anybody considering van life or building out a van, so If there's anything you want to know, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed that video and I hope that it serves you. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.